Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, it's the second installation in the How Not to Suck at Battlefield 2042, and by extension, How Not to Suck at Battlefield series. And today, we're going to be going over some slightly more advanced things than we did in the first video. And if you haven't watched the first video, I would definitely recommend watching that. I'll link in the description and put a card on the screen. The first video goes over some basic movement techniques and some settings. But the main topic of this video is how to survive longer in Battlefield games. I see this question pretty much everywhere. I have not made a tip video in a little while, but have been asked a lot, like, Enders, how are you surviving in these situations? And sometimes the answer is the enemies are legitimately just, their brain is off. But a lot of the time, it's because I am using the map to my advantage. And that is what is going to help you consistently survive longer and kill more people without dying. Real quick, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I will be posting more tips and tricks videos in the future, and definitely let me know in the comment section if you want me to do these more often. Now, let's head over and jump in game and talk about some of the main things you need to focus on while playing Battlefield games in general. Alright guys, so one of the #1 things you can do to improve your survivability and gameplay is understand lines of sight. And this might seem super obvious, but with Battlefield 2042 and the maps being so bad, this is actually the most difficult Battlefield game to actually understand where you can possibly get shot from. And the best players in 2042 really know how to move on an advantage. They know how to push up using smoke, and they understand how to use the map as cover. Now, this is most easily illustrated with using like rocky areas such as this on Renewal. Think about this like line here on this rock, you know, the one I just traced. You can use this to essentially block the entire map if you want to, right? Like, you can block A1 and A2 just fine just by proning. This is really how you should be blocking line of sight. And you know, I'll just give an example, like moving up. You know, if I want to move up on A1, I can block A1 just like that. If I want to block A2, I can just prone right here just like that. If I want to move over here, I can throw smoke grenades while I'm prone, so I'm not exposing myself to either of those. Then I can, you know, jump grapple, and I can use the edge of the smoke on this hill, you know, to peek over here. I have a limited amount of time, but then I can, you know, escape down to this rock. Then I can use the rock to, you know, jump the gap a little bit, and then prone as I'm up here. And the chances of people killing you in those super small sight windows that you just gave them are essentially almost zero, unless they hit a crazy sniper shot or an NTW-50 body shot. And it might look like I'm exposing myself more in first person, but I promise you in third person, it's an extremely difficult target to hit. And you can do this on really any map, right? Another thing that you want to make sure you know is it's important to understand where the enemies are currently. So you can do this just by obviously doing something like jiggle peeking like this. And this is going to come down to your FOV as well. Like, I like playing on quite a high FOV, and I know where to look already, kind of, so I can play on a higher FOV and get away with it. But some people might not be able to see as well. Like that guy, I can see him, right? Like, I can just jiggle peek and see that guy shooting at me. And in general, when you're pushing up in areas, you want to at least jiggle peek it once. Even if you think it's clear, it's best to just play it safe. Yeah, I can just... These AI are trying to kill me. I can just, you know, block entire line of sight. Let's actually try to rotate around and get a kill on these AI. They're gonna know where I am, obviously. But just to show that you can block, you know, line of sight using the entire map. And this works in game, obviously. I'll go over a clip directly after this. That's a better example. But I just want to explain the concept of, you know, using the map to block yourself. And you can do this with really any area in the entire game. It doesn't matter. All you have to know is you have to know, you know, your position relative to the enemies, and you have to use what is around you to buy yourself time, really. And of course, playing McKay can also help. But I wouldn't really play anyone else other than McKay. You see, if this was a real game, I'd just sit on this rock and just be a total nuisance, right? Like, oh, you're reviving? That sucks, dude. You know? I'm just gonna sit on this rock and jiggle peek the entire time. Oh, that Mav is shooting at me? I'm leaving. You know, like... Then I can just, you know, grapple to this rock and... Cutting off all line of sight to these people. And I can move up. And look, I put myself behind some new rocks to use. You know, so I can just continue jiggle peeking. Continue gaining information. You know, this guy right here. You know, killed him. And even that was a jiggle peek, what I just did there. That little stand up and prone. That's a jiggle peek. So constantly gain information. Constantly make sure that you have something in between you and the enemy. And just focus on your positioning. If there's people all around you, you're obviously in a bad position. If you feel like you are confident that there's no one behind you, or you feel like you're, you know, in a good area to where you, you know, your teammates are behind you, or you feel like you have a good beat on where the enemies are, like say A1 and A2 are capped, it's a pretty safe assumption that if your team has B1 here, that the enemies are really not going to be behind you, and you can position according to that. So say if A1 and A2 are capped and you have B1, this section of rocks would probably be a very advantageous place to push. That section of rocks would be a very advantageous place to push as well. And yeah, you can just dynamically identify positions based on, you know, who has what flag, and push up according to that. And it's a little difficult to explain as like a general concept, but let's go over a clip that might show it in action a little better. Now here's a clip of me on Exposure Attacker with the AK, and in this clip it really displays my awareness and my ability to take space after I have killed enemies. It shows my awareness of, you know, where I can get shot from and my understanding of the map, and it also shows my ability to understand whether or not I can close the gap in a certain amount of time. And one thing to pay attention to while watching this clip: when I go for a reload, I tend to go back to a location that I've already sort of made safe. You see me do it in the beginning of the clip, and you see me do it a couple times throughout the clip. And that is sort of something I picked up throughout playing Battlefield games. When you find a location that you make safe, I think a lot of people feel like that location isn't safe for a long period of time, and that might be true for the specific situation, but in situations where you're in control, you can definitely buy yourself more time than I think people realize. And another way to look at it from a survivability standpoint, if you want to improve your gameplay, is try to make as little mistakes as possible. The less mistakes you make, the less opportunity you give the enemy to kill you. And this can be as nuanced as like, oh, I peeked once and this guy saw my location. You know, that can be interpreted as a mistake if you're low HP. So it's a careful balancing act of knowing what you can get away with and what you can't get away with. And obviously, there is really no way to explain how to improve that. It's just practice. It's your own timing. It's your own game experience. I think the most important thing is trying to focus on applying your fundamentals as consistently as possible and learning how to identify mistakes in your own gameplay. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I hope I did a good job explaining. This is a fairly, nuanced topic. It can be fairly difficult to explain in Battlefield games due to the amount of variables. So I just hope I did a good job and you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.